Episode 223. Today we recap a crazy series versus the Reds. The Pirates take 2 of 3 from Cincinnati. We talk about Skeen's historic season, Hunter Barco's debut. Spencer Horwitz has been killing it. We talk if he's really a true piece to the puzzle in 2026. O'Neal Cruz continues to struggle in the field. We'll discuss that a bit, and then we'll cap it off with a series preview in Atlanta. You're listening to the Bucko Banter podcast, brought to you by the Just Baseball Media Network. Cue the music.
Rockin' 101, she compliment my taste. Whiskey in my lemonade, cause I like the way it tastes. Best seats at the Pirates, and they let me run the base. Yeah, my time is like my money, cause I can't afford to waste. Wifey is a lawyer, take my date to my dates. Order steak by the plate, sending case after case. Run my race at my pace, clear the grass of the snakes.
Adam, welcome back to another episode of Bucko Banter, and we are heading into the very last series of the season. They won 2 of 3 in Cincinnati. Played spoiler a little bit. Cincinnati now has to go play in Milwaukee. Not a great place to play. And they have to hope that the Cubs beat the Mets tonight, and the Mets do bat poorly against the Marlins this weekend. So we may have ruined some playoff chances. I guess that's a fun way to go out on this season.
I don't know if I want to cry or scream hallelujah that it's all coming to an end. I am very upset. And I was watching the game that went to extras on Wednesday as if we were competing for a playoff spot.
Yeah, that's sad.
I was so invested in this meaningless game that meant everything to Cincinnati. And again, it's just a nice reminder of what could be on September 25th of 2025.
Yeah, I think you saw a lot of glimpses of positivity, right? Like, I mean, no glimpses around Paul Skeens. I mean, he's the best pitcher on the planet. I put out a tweet last night on my personal. I was just like, I was saying not a couple years ago. It's over a year ago, though, when we saw him in the spring breakout game before he debuted. This is the best pitcher I've ever seen with my 2 eyes. And man, has that remained true, because he has put together historic numbers through his first career innings. This is like one of the best pitchers we've ever seen. And we have a privilege of seeing him up close and personal in Pittsburgh. You just hope that they add around him a little bit, because I don't think it's going to take as much as people may think.
No. Just to recap it a little bit, Paul Skeens finishes his 2025 Cy Young campaign with a 1.97 ERA. Sub-2 ERA, 187 and 2/3 innings pitched, 216 Ks, a .95 whip, and an opponent batting average of 199. He got better.
Yeah.
And I think the scary thing is, not for Pirates fans, it's going to be incredible to keep watching him mature. It's only his first full season. Second year, first full season. He's going to get better.
Yeah. Yes.
He's going to get much better. Remember, he was working on a 2-seam in spring training? Didn't break that one out.
Yeah, it's pretty scary to think about the different eye levels that he could challenge hitters with in the future if he adds more pitches, because he already comes from a weird slot. And I'm sure if you're a right-handed hitter, it kind of feels like facing Chris Sale on the left-hand side.
Right.
He's kind of coming around you with the best stuff, but really positive, man. I was also really impressed, not to change the subject, but with Rafael Flores behind the dish. Just, I don't know if you saw that. I think it was game 2 where the ball kicked out in front of him and he threw out the runner at second base. I think the arm has been his carrying tool as a catcher. It's kind of like Gary Sanchez-ish, but it was really impressive, man, staying with the ball and just how he aggressively just threw the ball down to second base and nailed the runner. I really liked what I saw from him. I'm not going to lie.
Again, he's a puzzle piece that fits.
Yeah. Yep.
When it comes to positional availability, whether it's a DH, a first baseman, or a catcher, you'll be able to funnel him in the lineup in one way every single day, right? Spencer Horwitz can be that guy that fits. And then you start working around that, but you need to bring in more guys. We don't need guys that play everywhere and nowhere at the same time like we have right now, like we had going into 2025 with 300 second basemen. We need guys like this. And I'm going to talk about Spencer Horwitz in a little bit, but while we're on the subject of catcher, I think we need to talk about the ABS.
Oh,
because that's going to be introduced in 2026. It's what I wanted with the challenge system. I didn't want a complete ball strike robot ump. I know there's a lot of people out there that want that. You can make the argument, why not just be perfect? I don't really have a very strong argument behind that other than I like the art of catching.
yeah.
I don't want to see that position be taken away from Major League Baseball. I like that that's a part of the game. And I think that's still going to be part of the game, whether it's stealing strikes, framing, holding runners. I think it's going to be very crucial to still have a very, very good catcher. But I think this is going to make umpires tighten up a little bit.
Yeah.
I think umpires can get lazy late in games. They want to get things moving. They're going to have to be a lot better. And you get 2 challenges. And if you win it, you retain it. It's going to be very strategic on how you use those challenges. Are you going to trust your 9-hitter to use that challenge? Do you want to leave that challenge for the Brian Reynolds or the Andrew McCutcheons of the world in the middle of the order or late in games? Do you want them to have that availability? How are you going to use it? Are you going to let your pitchers use it? Are you going to let your hitter use it? Are you going to let the catcher use it? I'm interested to see how it plays out, and I think it just adds a little bit more drama to the game that baseball needs. We're talking about fan retention, views. It's quick. It happens right away, and it adds very good suspense to sometimes what could be a very dragged out game.
Yeah, I think if I had to pick between robot umps and ABS, it'd be ABS. But I too love the art of catching, and I think we've talked about that a little bit with Jordan Comadina, who is kind of a pioneer when it comes to catching. I like the idea of framing. I like the idea of just finding a way to get a leg up. That's a part of competition, right? That's the part of sports. And if every time we find a way to get a leg up and you're going to cut that off, it kind of defeats the purpose, right? I like what these catchers are doing today, and I think it will cause the umpires to tighten up a little bit, but that part will be fun for me to watch. I'm not going to lie.
Yeah.
But as long as we don't go to full robot ump, man, I think I'm okay with it. Like we've said before, and I think you're on the same page as me. I'm a little bit of a traditionalist, and I kind of like the human error part of the game. Obviously, it's frustrating at times, but that's baseball, man. That's what makes it America's pastime and makes it so great.
I like what's going on right now towards the end of the season, specifically with the Pirates, right? We could talk about keeping ourselves engaged by playing spoiler with the Reds, whatever. At the end of the day, we move on to Atlanta. That doesn't matter for us anymore. I like that we're getting national attention because of Paul Skeens having this historic season and that narrative being picked up again of they have to go into this offseason and spend money. It's crucial. They're against the clock here. They only have Paul Skeens till 2029. They're only 2 or 3 bats away. That's a lot when you're talking about the Pirates. Any other team, you might say 2 or 3 bats, easy. We make a couple moves this offseason. We dish out some money. No big deal. But at least it's being talked about right now. There's a little bit more pressure, right? I don't know what it's going to take, what they have in store for the offseason. We don't even know if Ben Cherington's going to be back, right? So that's another wrench that could be thrown into this where we might have to wait a while just to see who's going to be running this club from a general manager's perspective. But let's give credit where credit's due, okay? Spencer Horwitz was brought in by Ben Cherington last year for Luis Ortiz, who obviously is not playing anymore because
let's go.
He allegedly gambled on some games.
Allegedly.
Spencer Horwitz comes in. Luis Ortiz goes out with a package of Michael Kennedy and Josh Hartle. Okay. Josh Hartle's having a good year in the minor leagues. Michael Kennedy's very young. Luis Ortiz was the main deal in the trade. Okay. At the time, what were we saying? It was we undervalued Luis Ortiz. The market for pitching is extremely high. We think it could have yielded a much higher return. While that still may be true at that time, I think this is a very good deal for the Pirates, looking back on it.
Yeah.
He got hurt at the beginning of the year. It took him a little bit to get ramped up. Not only are you talking about a really good clubhouse guy, he's played a pretty solid first base, and he slugs. Okay. He's, I think, third or fourth on the team in home runs. That's not with a full season.
Plus 750 OPS.
Plus 750 OPS. And since August 1st, Scott, I'm going to pull this up real quick. Take a look at this. Okay. Since August 1st, he's hitting 275, 365 on base percentage, 477 slug with an 841 OPS. With 12 doubles.
This is your two-hole hitter, man. I'm telling you, you get a legitimate leadoff in this lineup. I like, he fits the prototype perfectly.
He's able to drive the balls to the gap. He gets on base. He always has quality at bats. You're never watching a Spencer Horwitz at bat and just like, what is going through his mind right now? Like, what is he doing? He makes good contact. If you look at all the offensive categories for the season for the Pirates, he's in the top 5 for each one. Now, is that saying much with the team that we have right now? Not really. Again, he did miss some time and he's starting to heat up, but you're starting to see this is a guy can lead off an inning with a double. This is a guy who can hit your 2-hole spot and drive the ball into the gaps and potentially add some power. I'm excited to see how he builds off of this season because, again, last year we said it was the most important offseason and they didn't really do anything besides this specific move. And if we're just looking at this move, I think it worked, right? I'm happy about the Spencer Horwitz trade.
Yeah, for sure. I think in terms of how much control they have too, it's definitely a huge plus. Josh Hartle had a great year. I don't know. I don't think Michael Kennedy had as big of a year as he did last year, but still, I still would argue that Cleveland got a lot in return, and they're a very good developmental org. But for a team that needed bats, I like this as a win-win trade because looking back on it now, I know we had a lot more to say at the beginning of the season.
Sure.
But reflecting now, it's like, Spencer Horwitz is going to be a part of, if this team is going to win again in the near future, like Spencer Horwitz is going to be a part of that. And I'm very confident in saying that.
Yeah. Let's go over some couple of other things real quick. Hunter Barker debuted for an inning, 2 hard hit balls, gave a couple of hits, but ultimately got the win in his major league debut. Again, going to be a good part of this rotation. He's going to battle for a spot.
I really want to talk about this real quick because I tuned in on my phone to watch him live. He looked good. He looks deceiving. He's got like, he separates the hands pretty quickly and he comes from like a low 3/4 slot. And I could see him being tough to pick up if I'm a left-handed batter. I really like his stuff. The fastball works up in the top of the zone. I thought, he got squared up a couple times, but he battled through and he throws strikes. And I definitely think he's going to be battling for a spot. I don't know if we necessarily need to go out and get a lefty veteran this offseason. I think you can save that money and maybe go for a veteran in the bullpen, if anything, because Paul Skeens is your de facto veteran, right? Mitch Keller is your veteran. I say veteran for Paul Skeens because he's got these leadership qualities and he's the best pitcher in the league. And I think he's going to need to step up in terms of being a vocal leader of this clubhouse next year, along with Mitch Keller. I think they're two very different guys. But yeah, I really liked what I saw from Barco, and I hope we get to see him one more time in Atlanta.
Last thing I want to talk about, we don't have to spend too much time on it, is O'Neal Cruz. Flashed a little bit of power during the week, opposite field home run, but the defensive struggles are still there. And how much time do the Pirates give him in center field? One, before Connor Griffin comes up and they say, hey, we want Griffin to be our center fielder, or Griffin could be the shortstop too. That's to be determined. I'm not totally out on him playing middle infield, but I really like the idea of him roaming center field, right? So then what do you do with O'Neal Cruz? Assuming that you're very sold on him as an organization, because from a talent perspective, from a ceiling perspective, if you have that guy on your roster, you want him out there every single day. And you don't want to waste that arm. You don't want to waste that speed. But at some point, you might have to sacrifice a little bit of that athleticism for some peace of mind when it comes to just being a sound defender. And I mean, that's forgetting the offensive struggles too, right? let's talk just defense right now. It didn't work out in center field. There was about a month stretch where I was like, I think he's starting to get it now. He's having a good feel for the position. But as we close out, I don't think we've really crossed that threshold where I'm very comfortable with saying, hey, he's our guy going into 2026.
I don't think you can confidently say that. And I think anyone who does is just fooling themselves. I've made it very clear that I think that we need to explore all options this offseason, and that includes potentially moving him. And we can get into that more in the offseason, but you got a full season under his belt, man, and you got to see a full sample size. And I don't know if it's the defense that's hindering his offense or vice versa, but like something's not clicking. And for this team to win, especially with the pitching staff that it has, you got to optimize up the middle before anything. And not sure that they can do that with Oneil Cruz in center field.
How do you feel about moving him to right?
Better at PNC Park, but you know,
I mean, the arm still can play there.
The arm for sure. But like, then what do you do with Brian Reynolds? Are you moving Brian Reynolds
to DH?
To DH. Okay, so Kutch doesn't come back.
I think that. Listen, I love Kutch. I'll put it out there. Don't crucify me for this.
You think that's a foregone conclusion?
That he's gone?
Yeah.
No, I just think from a roster construction standpoint, while he may have been one of your more productive offensive pieces this year, him being on the roster hinders what you can do moving forward.
I mean, I agree. I said that before this season, and I know you agreed with me, but I mean, I totally agree. I'm looking at it from a realistic standpoint. I think they'll give him $5 million if he wants to come back. Now, he's made comments recently that sound like he doesn't necessarily want to do that, but
I also don't know if I want to give him another $5 million. Like, for a team that penny pinches everything, $5 million's nothing to sneeze at.
Yeah.
And again, I know he contributed a lot offensively. Almost zero on the defensive side. There's like a handful of innings that he logged by necessity because we were in a hole with Reynolds hurt and a couple of other injuries. So if you want to keep Cruz, if you don't move him in the offseason, which again we'll get into at a later date, I think the only option is right field. Then I think you have to move Brian Reynolds to DH. I think then you move Griffin to center, and then you have to go get a left fielder. Right? So that's actually right now, that's my early prediction on how I would like things to go.
Do you think Griffin goes to center earlier than later?
Dude, I think his athletic abilities would be.
Oh, I think he's a center fielder for sure.
Yeah.
Like
I just like the speed and the arm plays so well out there.
Yeah, I agree.
And
I agree.
There's hope that he could be Bobby Witt Jr. and play an awesome shortstop. That would also be fantastic. And then you could focus on other things. It's a good problem to have, but I think he could be a Gold Glove center fielder. No, and to be fair, I said that about Oneil Cruz going into this year. So, I mean, who knows?
No, I mean, this is a guy who played center field. And
sure.
I think if anything, he'll be a serviceable shortstop. I don't think he'll be a bad shortstop, but I just think his long-term home is in center field. With that being said, Adam, there's one last headline I want to discuss before we go into game recaps. Let's take a break before game recaps. But Chase Shugart was recalled from the minors. Dauri Moreta optioned. It's nowhere to go because minors are done. But we had this discussion before we started recording. I'd much rather see a Brandon Beddois or an Eddie Yeen or Wilkin Ramos, who has bounced between the Mets and the Pirates. Like, how much more do we need to see of Chase Shugart? He hasn't been bad this year. Let me just preface it with that. He hasn't been bad. But Dauri Moreta has more of a future on this team than I think Chase Shugart does. So it just seems like a weird move. And I know that their roster is limited with Barco up and a lot of young arms that they're trying to get innings for, but I don't see the need to make this move with 3 games left. Not that it even really matters. I don't even know why I'm complaining about it, but
yeah. I'd have to look at the options, I guess. And from that standpoint, but I agree, man. this time of the year. Bidwell has a 0 ERA. Give him a couple of innings, right? I mean, this is a guy that definitely should be competing for a spot going into next year. And I know that bullpens are fluid and it's constantly changing, but did we really need to see more Chase Sugar in Atlanta? No, absolutely not. So that's that. It's okay. Your boy Johan Ramirez had some time this series as well. He got himself out of a good jam. He was gutsy in that Wednesday performance.
He's listened to the pod.
He's listened to the pod. He's taking what you said to heart. Before we take a break and then get into our game recaps, make sure you go to Total Sports Enterprises for all of your Pittsburgh sports memorabilia needs. Pirates, Penguins, Steelers. Hey, I know you, Scott Moore, want a framed Aaron Rodgers jersey hanging above your bed. You've been saying it to me all the time. You're just like, man, I got this space above my bed frame. It's just blank. You know what would be perfect there? An Aaron Rodgers signed jersey.
The Medicine
right?
Man.
The Medicine Man. You could find that at Total Sports Enterprises. Go to tscshop.com. Go to the link below. Click that to let them know Bucko Banter sent you. Let's take a quick break here. Then we'll be back with our game recaps.
All right, Adam, that was a fun 20 minutes of ball talk, man. I feel like that's the most we've talked before for our game recaps. I mean, there's a lot to discuss this offseason. I'm really excited to really jump into it, to be honest with you. Not that I want the season to end, but there is a lot that should and could happen this offseason. But let's get into these game recaps in Cincinnati at Great American Small Park. Tuesday, 4-2 dub. Oviedo went 4 2/3, 2 hits, 2 earned, 3 walks, 7 Ks, gave up a homer. I think it was to Noel V. Marte. 3.57 ERA, got 12 whiffs. I'm really liking what I'm seeing from this rotation from a whiff standpoint. Like Bailey Falter wasn't a guy that generated a ton of whiffs, which is fine. He got outs from contact more than strikeouts, but this whole rotation generates whiffs, double-digit whiffs. So that's definitely a good sign. Dari Moreta pitched a third of an inning, gave up no hits. Hunter Barco made his debut. All right, he came in the 6th inning, 1 inning, 2 hits, generated 4 whiffs. No earned, got out of a jam, and looked really good. We already talked about that. We touched on that. Good to see him up here. Justin Lawrence went 1 inning, no hits, 2 Ks, 0.57 ERA. Adam, this is a guy that I know was out for a good chunk of the season, but that I would genuinely consider bringing back next year, because I think you could put all your money onto the offense. I don't know if you need to make an acquisition on the pitching side.
Yeah. Maybe unless some lefties. I don't know, but that's about it.
Maybe a lefty, but like this is a guy that you could bring back because he provides a different perspective from the batter's box with that low slot. But Isaac Mattson went 1 inning, 1 hit. Dennis Santana earned his 15th save, 1 inning, no hits, 1 walk, 1 K. O'Neill Cruz hit his 20th home run, 2 RBIs. Nick York went 2 for 4 with an RBI. I really like what I've been seeing from Nick York as of late. He seems to be aggressive in the box and getting some big hits. Alexander Canario went 1 for 4 with a double and 1 RBI. 8 hits total, 2 for 6 with runners in scoring position, 4 left on base, 7 Ks.
Wednesday, Skeens Day, 4-3 dub in 11 innings. This is the one that I was sweating for no reason late on a Wednesday night. Paul Skeens, historic debut, historic close to the season, I should say. Historic way to just close out an unbelievable year. 6 innings, 4 hits, no runs, 7 Ks, finishes the year with a 1.97 ERA, 18 whiffs. Scott, the bullpen, Lawrence, Mattson, Santana, Moreta, Johan Ramirez with a gutsy performance at the end. Walked a couple of guys, made it a little interesting, but got out of it with a ground ball to Triolo at third base. Jack Sawinski with a clutch double in extras to take the lead. Spencer Horwitz, 3 for 5, 3 RBIs, 2 doubles. Reynolds had 3 runs and a great play in right field late in the game. Caught a ball, fan interfered, and then an absolute rocket to hold the runner at second base with a throw to third. As a team, 12 Ks, 4 walks, 8 hits, 3 for 12 runners in scoring position, 8 left on base. They took 2 of 3 from Cincinnati.
I don't think we mentioned this previously on Skeens, but he's now the all-time single season and strikeout leader for right-handed pitchers in Pirates history, which is pretty impressive, man. More history. This whole season has been historic for him, and really excited to watch more Paul Skeens next year. But Thursday, Braxton Ashcraft went 4 1/3, 8 hits, 2 earned, 1 walk, 5 Ks, 10 whiffs, 2.71 ERA. He's probably going to, I think he's going to pitch the very last game of the season. That's what he's slated to start. But really like what I've seen from Braxton Ashcraft. Oh, wait, that wouldn't make sense if he's pitching the last game Sunday. Never mind. But yeah, Ashcraft has been very, very impressive this year. Kyle Nicholas went 1 2/3, 1 hit, 3 Ks, 6 whiffs, 4.86 ERA. Like last year, finishing the season strong. Majinski, 2 innings, 1 hit. Spencer Horwitz went 1 for 1 with a double. He came in to pinch hit. 264 average. York had the lone RBI of the game for the Pirates. It was sac fly. 3 hits total. 0 for 2 with runners in scoring position. 3 left on base. 14 Ks at him, and 12 of those came from Nick Lodolo, a pitcher who I think is one of the more underrated arms of baseball. Originally drafted by the Pirates out of high school, if you want to hate yourself anymore. Then opted to go to TCU and got drafted by the Reds higher in the first round. This is a guy that, if healthy, is one of the better left-handed arms in baseball. Definitely struggled with him today.
He had 27 whiffs.
Oh, I didn't even see that. 27 is ridiculous. In one game.
In one game.
In our lefty or platoon lineup.
Yeah.
That's pretty funny.
Yeah. The thing that's supposed to negate that didn't work so well. I mean, like you said, they had 3 hits on the day. One of them was a Spencer Horwitz double late in the game, which led to the only run. So lefty. It didn't even come off of Lodolo.
Oh, it wasn't off Lodolo. Okay.
Wasn't off Lodolo. I mean, if it was Lodolo, I mean, it would have been that much more special. But no, they just could not touch him today. Before we get into Atlanta, the last series of the season, I remember earlier in the year we planned on making that trip. I think we ran out of battery here. Scott,
you could say that.
Yeah,
I think next year is going to be a big year in travel. Definitely when I cross off some more ballparks. I think I have 10 more to go to hit them all, but definitely want to cross off some more and then do the easy ones like Baltimore, DC, or Cincinnati or Cleveland if they go to those places, because those are easy drives for us. But yeah, Atlanta would be cool.
They'll be in Cleveland next year.
Yes.
They won't be in Baltimore next year. Baltimore opens up here. We
right.
know they'll be in DC. They'll be in New York, both.
Do we need to give DC another chance?
No, we don't. we don't. That ballpark is just absolute piss. It's terrible. It's just the most average ballpark known to man.
It's funny because there are way worse ballparks. Like they're the bullpen out in left field that's where people can go and like drink before the game is pretty cool.
Yeah, that's outside the park, though.
I know, but like if you've been to White Sox Stadium, that ballpark is bad.
Guaranteed rate is. I've heard it's very.
Yeah,
very
it's
bad.
really bad. Yeah, now they're restricting people from going from the top level to the bottom level. It's like, what are we doing here, guys?
Right. That's not great. Not great. So yeah, some trips to be had next year. We'll get you out to Cincinnati. I know you love that ballpark as well. Before we get into our last preview of the season, shout out to Sports Card Junction for sponsoring the podcast and for all the giveaways throughout the year. Sports Card Junction, 9011 Perry Highway. Whether you collect baseball, basketball, football, hockey, soccer, women's basketball, college sports, Pokemon, Yu-Gi-Oh, whatever your heart desires, Sports Card Junction has you covered. 9011 Perry Highway. The best sports card shop in the Berg. Scott, why don't you get us kicked off with our Atlanta preview?
All right, the Atlanta Braves this year. If you told me before the season that they'd finish 4th in the NL East, I would have laughed in your face. This is a team that a lot of people picked to come out of the NL. It could be a contender for the NLCS. 75 and 84. They're behind the Marlins, 4th in the NL East. Things haven't gone their way this year, and you're going to know that by the first matchup on Friday. We're facing Joey Wentz. Okay, this was our long man coming out of spring training. He'll be going up against Mitch Keller this year, 5-6 with a 5.46 ERA and 94 innings pitched, 38 games or appearances. I think he's only started 12. 89 Ks and a 152 whip. He'll throw a four seam 44% of the time, 92 to 94. The slider comes in at 27% of the time in the mid 80s, and he'll mix in a curve, cutter, and change. The evolution of his cutter and four seam combo gives him some flexibility with the fastball, and his changeup can be a weapon if located properly. Elevated walk rates and occasional lack of command limit his margin for error, though, and this is a guy that's probably a long-term long man, if anything.
And then Saturday, right-handed pitcher Spencer Strider versus Bubba Chandler. 2025 Spencer Strider, 7-13 with a 4.45 ERA and 119 and 1/3 innings pitched, 22 games, 126 Ks with a 1.38 whip. The Arsenal, heavy four-seam usage at 52% of the time. It's mid-90s. Got a slider, curve, and change to supplement that four-seam fastball. When fully healthy, Scott, he has shown ace-level upside, especially if he can restore more velocity and refine his secondary offerings. The fastball's drop in dominance, lower velocity, lower vertical movement is a warning sign. If he can't reclaim more of the old profile or even adjust his margin for error, shrinks. This is Quadzilla, man.
This is a guy that, like, this matchup should be fun, right? Chandler versus Strider. Bubba was committed to go to Clemson. Spencer played at Clemson. Two guys with big fastballs, but Spencer's mostly a fastball slider guy. We saw him before he got Tommy John at PNC Park, and when he was having one of his best year, his first full season in Major League Baseball, and the Pirates were hitting him around a little bit. Funny enough, we were sitting in front of his mom, and she had to watch that. But I think this will be a fun matchup. That leads us into Sunday. Chris Sale, who we've faced this year, versus Johan Oviedo. Chris Sale, man, talk about reinventing yourself, and just go look at his Baseball Savant page. It is red, very dark red, bloody. This guy's 6-5, 2.63 ERA this year, 120 innings pitched, 20 games started, 156 Ks and a 107 whip. 156 Ks and 120 innings pitched is kind of insane, because I know he missed some time in the middle of the summer. He faced the Pirates in Pittsburgh on May 11th. Went 5 2/3, 8 hits, 2 earned, 2 walks, 8 Ks, and a 4-3 Pittsburgh win. He's using his slider more now, 29% of the time. The four seam 28% of the time. The slider sits 79 to 81. It's a slower slider, more of a sweeper. The four seam still gets up to 94, 95. He throws that 28% of the time. He mixes in a change and a sinker over 20% of the time too. One of the elite strikeout arms in Major League Baseball, mostly based just off of deception.
Yeah.
But he generates swings and misses, especially via his fastball slider combo. His ability to locate his secondary stuff and maintaining elite sequencing just separates him from the rest of the bunch as a veteran lefty. One of the better ones we've seen in our generation, man. It'll be a fun last game, I guess.
Last game, and then we head into the offseason.
And speaking of the offseason, like, you're talking about, we don't know who's going to be running this ball club next year. The Nationals just hired their new GM. All right. I think he's coming from the Red Sox organization. That if that's the route, I think we're going to see it very quickly. If Ben is not going to be the GM going into next year, I think you're going to see it sooner rather than later.
You have any predictions?
I'm just like, the way they're operating, I just don't think he's going to get fired. But,
from who we've talked to, it just doesn't seem like that's the case. Like, there would be some type of pulse on the situation.
I think there's uncertainty for sure, just based off how this year's gone. But I'm just going off of how they've historically operated. Yeah. I'm just pessimistic, I guess, in that regard. I know I'm mostly optimistic on a lot of things. Like, some people wouldn't agree that we're a couple bats away. Well, we are. But just how they've operated in the past, I don't see him getting fired. I'd like to be wrong about that.
Same. I would like to be wrong about a lot of things that we talk about on here, but that's just not the case usually. Appreciate you all for listening. If you don't already, make sure you subscribe on YouTube. Hit that like button, subscribe, share, leave a comment, tell a friend to tell a friend, and then tell that friend to tell a friend. If you're listening, we love you. Leave a 5-star review, comment, download the episodes so you know when they are coming out. As we go into the off season, we'll probably announce a different schedule on how we'll be releasing the episodes, whether that's interviews, just a typical major league episode or minor league episode. we'll let you know how that's going to work, so you can look forward to listening to our stupid voices when you go to work or however you enjoy this podcast. And then, Scott, it's getting a little chillier out.
Yes, it is.
And we both have our Bucko Banter hoodies, but know who doesn't? The people looking at us right now. What are you doing? Go to buckobanter.com, grab that hoodie that you've been eyeing up. I know you've been looking at it for a while now, and you're like, should I pull the trigger on this? Should I give these idiots my money? You 100% should. It's a comfortable hoodie. Very, very comfortable. We got a lot of options on there. Maybe we'll do a little deal going into the off season. Maybe a little 20% off. Who knows?
Maybe a little 20% off.
Yeah, 20% off. Never hurt anybody. Go to buckobanter.com. Get all of your Bucko Banter merch. Make sure you're following on all social media. Share those videos with your friends. Little share doesn't hurt anybody. Helps everyone. All right. Share, like, leave a comment. Tell your friends to go follow. We got a lot of exciting stuff planned for the off season. If you have any ideas for a show, an interview, content, shoot us a DM. You can email us at buckobanter@gmail.com. And until next time, raise it.
Raise it.
Seats at the Pirates game, they let me run the base. Yeah, my time is like my money, cause I can't afford to waste. Wifey is a lawyer, take my date to my dates, or the steak by the plates and